Hey there, it's Banana Me. Over the summer I worked at a part-time job at a grocery store. I hated it. Now, some of my coworkers love the job. There's nothing inherently wrong with the place. It's just not for me. Maybe it's because I'm an introvert, but dealing with customers all day was very tiring for me. So now to commemorate me finally quitting, I thought I'd see if I could make an interesting video about some of my experience and just generally vent and complain about customers. So I guess I'll just start describing various things. A lot of frustration stemmed from our rewards card, a lot of which stemmed from no one understanding how they worked. But I'm not going to get into all that. So whenever a customer would come through my line, at some point they would have to either hand me their rewards card or they'd read me a phone number. Most of my customers really like to have terrible timing with the phone number thing. If it's the first thing you do, it's not really a problem, but you should still make sure I'm ready. But some people would wait until I had scanned a few items, and then I would be fumbling with a stubborn barcode and they'd just rattle it off expecting me to keep up. Like, come on! Another thing they'd do is look for their card and not find it, so they'd read me their phone number. And I'd be really frustrated as I type it in because their card is visibly in their wallet. Like, it's right there. Another thing about cashiering at a grocery store is the fruit. Most of the fruit and vegetables don't scan. It's usually those items that have a little sticker on them. There is a barcode, but it doesn't do jack. We have to memorize codes for all of them, which is a lot easier than it sounds. I know so many. 4011, 4016, 3286, 4068, 4723, etc. But there were a lot of things with those codes, and some of them wouldn't get bought very often, so, ergo, I wouldn't know the code. But that's okay. I can get out my handy-dandy cheat sheet and start looking for it. All I need to know is the name of the fruit, and I usually did. For some reason, while I would do this, customers would love to tell me the price of the fruit. I don't know why they thought this would help. It just distracted me for a second, and I would ignore it. But, I never understood why they told me that. If you have an idea of why they might think that was helpful information, please comment and tell me. I want to know. Okay, so on to the next thing. Sometimes during my shift, I'd have a reason to leave my register, so I'd turn my light off, hoping that I can quickly clear the customers out of my line and get going. But no. Customers don't pay attention to anything. I'd have to wait through 10 more customers hopping on my line before I'd get a break, and it's like I may as well have left the light on. Although, once in a while, I'll spot someone who goes for my line, sees the light, and turns away. And I'm just like, yes, you rock. I love you. Bless you. And then someone else jumps in. Okay, I don't want to sound like I hate people, so this next aggravating customer thing has a twist. If an item doesn't scan, we do a price check. That's just where someone runs back to where they found the item to see how much it costs. Simple. Sometimes customers don't want us to do it because they don't want to put us through the trouble. Like, what? No, this is part of my job. That's like if I rang you up for a sandwich at a deli and you were like, no, you don't have to make the sandwich. I don't want to put you through the trouble. Okay, not a perfect analogy, but you get the point, right? I'm here to help. Plus, I'd love to go walk somewhere. My feet hurt from standing still so long. It's ridiculous. But anyway. The express lane confuses everyone. The way they're set up is just counterintuitive. And the cashiers don't always stand in the same places, so nobody gets it. But the main thing on Express for me isn't that. It's when I'm on Front Express and I'm trapped because a Back Express customer blocks me in. It's so awkward. What do I do? The touchscreens are old and sometimes the buttons don't work. Most cashiers probably already know what it's like to laugh at the same jokes all day long. Customers think they appear friendly or funny, but they just end up looking kind of dumb. I guess it's not their fault. They don't know I've heard it 1,000 times. Also, why is it always old people? Like, usually old guys. What's the deal with that? They always come up and say, "Are you bored?" And I just laugh because I don't know how to respond to that. And if I just started walking out to wait for customers and they catch me, they're like, "Oh, I saved you some water." Oh, thank God. I sure do hate bending my legs. Thank you. I'm so glad to be standing in one spot. Okay, so those were all general things, but I do have a few stories. Well, I mean, they're awfully short to be called stories, but they're specific encounters at least. There was one time I was checking out a customer and everything was normal until I handed him his receipt and said, "Have a nice day," and he started rattling off his opinions of politicians. I couldn't even make out what he was saying because he wasn't talking clearly, but I was just so frazzled, like, what do I even do? I just kind of fumbled around and stuttered because I was trying to say something without having anything to say, so I just started helping the next customer and hoped he'd just leave. He mumbled all the way out the door. The next one is very, very short. It's just that one time I asked a woman how she was doing today, and she said plastic. Obviously, she thought I asked whether she wanted paper or plastic, but it was just so funny. Maybe you had to be there. The last story is uncomfortable. This big guy came rolling in on one of those scooters. He had a 24-pack. Usually we don't put those up on the belt because it's much easier to scan them in the cart with the scan gun. But this one wasn't in the cart. It was between his legs. It was so awkward. And feeble little me was too shy to say, hey, can you maybe lift that up so we don't have to get intimately close for me to scan it? Like, come on, take me to dinner before you have me scan your water. Yuck. But no, I said nothing. I just reached my arm out for the corner furthest from him, pulled it off the scooter to scan it, and then slowly and carefully put it back. Mostly back. Yeah, I'm scarred for life. I know this video is weird. It was all broken up into small parts, and most of all, it's nothing like what I usually post. I don't know if I'll do more like this in the future, but now you know what I'm capable of.